गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परम ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परा। Repeating what we did in our last session, the Onkar Upasana. Shlok 48. Purvam samadher akhilam vichintayet Onkar matram sacharacharam jagat tadeva vachyam pranavo hi vachakah विभाव्यते ज्ञान वशान न बोधतः पूर्वम समाधेः अखिलम विचिन्तयेत् ओंकार मात्रम सचराचरम जगत तत् एव वाच्यम प्रणवः वाचकः विभाव्यते अज्ञान वशात् न बोधतः. Now, before reaching the samadhi state, purvam samadhehe. So, before reaching the final samadhi state, that is nirvikalpa samadhi. So, before reaching the nirvikalpa samadhi, we will be in savikalpa samadhi. Savikalpa samadhi is with vikalpa, where there is vritti, with thoughts. Where there is vritti is there, the triputi is there, the triputi or the trio of meditator, object of meditation, and the process of meditation is there, the triputi. So it is with vritti. Therefore, this savikalpa samadhi is basically nididhyasana, contemplation. Nirvikalpa samadhi is, of course, it is meditation without any thought or without any vikalpa, nirvikalpa. So, Onkara matram sacharacharam jagat. Therefore, now before attaining the nirvikalpa samadhi, one has to contemplate on the entire existence, entire creation of names and forms in the form of, including Jada Chetana, the sentient and insentient, the living, non-living, Jada Chetana, as nothing but Onkara Matra. Onkara, as we have seen in Taittiriya Upanishad, it has come, Om iti Brahma, Om iti idam sarvam. Om iti Brahma, Om iti idam sarvam. Now, before Onkara Upasana, all of us have done, continuing to do, because whether we are spiritual or not, Upasana, everybody does at some point in time in some form or the other. So we begin with Sagun Sakar Upasana. That is the puja or Upasana with the form and attributes. So we worship the form of our Ishta Devata. Now, when we are worshipping the form of Ishta Devata, that idol, whatever that idol may be, the idol made up of mud or stone or wood or metal or whatever it may be. Now, what we are worshipping is not the idol, but the ideal behind that idol. This notion has to be there. We worship that Ishta Devata as the supreme power, as a substratum of all the names and forms. And that idol or that form is a symbol. Because at that stage, we are thoroughly identified with our body, and therefore we need that absolute truth, that supreme reality with form and attribute to worship. As long as we are thoroughly identified with our gross physical body, we cannot even think of Nirgun Nirakar, the formless and attributeless is beyond our thoughts also. We cannot conceive of that. Sagun Sakar is also difficult. With the body identification, that is also difficult. So Sagun Sakar is easier, Sagun Nirakar is again difficult, and Nirgun Nirakar is beyond our capacity. So Sagun Sakar Upasana we start with, whether it is path of devotion or path of knowledge. In path of knowledge also the Dvaita is there, and there of course the disciple, he worships his Guru, so the duality is there, and he sees his Guru as the embodiment of the supreme reality, substratum of everything. And a devotee worshipping his Ishta Devta in his puja room sees in his idol the form of that supreme reality, who is the substratum of the created names and forms. So similarly, in the Omkar Upasana now, that Omkar is taken as the symbol of the entire existence, entire creation. So everything including Jala Chaitanya is nothing but Omkara. So as we have seen, Omkara briefly, the Akara, Ukara and Makara is there in Omkara. And then the three states of consciousness that represents. Then after the Omkar chanting is over, Om, we finish that. And then before we begin the next Om chant, then in between the Sandhi Kala, that is a matra. So Akar is there, Ukar is there, Makar is there. Then there is in between the Sandhi Kala is there, between the two Omkar chanting, that is Amatra. That Amatra is the pure self, the absolute truth or Brahman, Amatra. So this of course we'll see further in the following shlokas. So this tat eva vachyam pranavah omkarah vachakah, the sound symbol, vibhavyate ajnana vashat na bodhatah. Now this practice, this triputi or this dvaita or the multiplicity of the names and forms that is seen, that is perceived, that is only in ignorance, not in Atma Bodha, not after the realization of the self. So this practice is given at the level of Paroksha Jnana. At the moment what we are acquiring is Paroksha Jnana. Paroksha Jnana, the ignorance goes away. But that Paroksha Jnana has to be converted into Aparoksha Bodha. So this practice is only at the level of Paroksha Jnana, not for Aparoksha Bodha. Once the Aparoksha Bodha happens, there is no need of this practice at all. You see? So the four states of consciousness in Omkara, actually we cannot call it different states of consciousness. Consciousness is just one, as space is just one. And then we create conditionings of walls and roof, and then we call it as a room or a hall and things like that. So this waking plane, when waking plane merges then into the dream state, and both waking and the dream, or the dream state merges into the waking state. Wake up from the dream and then it merges into the waking state, and both waking and the dream state merges into the deep sleep state. And then all the three states of consciousness then merge into the Turiya, that is a higher dimension of consciousness, so to say. Actually, it is all one consciousness where there is no demarcation of waking, dream, and the deep sleep. So that is the highest realization when it merges into that. Now further continuing on this Onkara Sadhana, in 49 shloka, Prabhu Ramchandraji tells us, Akara sanjnam purusho hi vishwakah yukara kastai jasakiryate kramat prajnyo makara paripathyate khilaihi samadhi purvam natu tatvato bhavet. Akara sanjnam purusha hi vishwakah hi ukara उकारकः तैजसः ईर्यते क्रमात् प्राज्ञः मकारः परिपठ्यते अखिलैः समाधि पूर्वं न तु तत्वतः भवेत्. Now this akara sanyam, purusha is the jiva, akara is the waking plane of consciousness, represents the waking plane of consciousness, and the waker, jagrat purusha abhimani, or the waker, the jiva, denoted by the Jagrat Purusha Abhimani is the Vishwa. So this waker, the waking, and the, so to say, the headquarters of this waking plane of consciousness is the right eye. With the right eye, with the vision, we see the entire world. And it is said that the right eye is more powerful than the left eye and all that. So the waking plane of consciousness, the headquarters, so to say, is the right eye. Then Ukara. Ukara is the dreamer and the dream state of consciousness, dream world. The Swapna Purusha Abhimani is Taijasa, and its sthana is the mind. As per the Mandukya Upanishad, mind is the place or the headquarters of this dream state, because the dream world is all projected by the mind on the screen, on the mental screen. So it is all their projection. So its main place is the mind. And then finally Makara. Makara, the Shushupti Avastha, the deep sleep state, and deep sleeper and his experience. And of course the absence of the both the waking and the dream world. And the sthana, or the place of these deep sleep state, is the space of the heart. So these are the three places. So Vaikara, then Ukaraka Taijasa Iryate, Prajnyaha Makaraha Paripathyate Akilaihi. That is by all the rishis. You see. So these three avasthas and their perception and experiences of these multitudes of names and forms in this world, their modification, etc., they are only perceptible in ignorance. And it is not for Atma Bodhi. Then there is, in Atma Bodhi, there is only one non-dual self, one infinite self. All the differences of this Vyashti and Samashti, microcosm and macrocosm, individuality and totality, Sansara, the three bodies, gross, subtle, and the causal body, the three avasthas, and the three avasthas, Abhimani, at the Vyashti and at the Samashti, and then the Jiva Jagati Ishvara Bheda, everything gets dissolved, merges into the pure self. So Akara, Ukara, and Makara. Now further, we go into this Upasana. Now 50th and 51st shloka together, they are taken together, which describe the Onkar Upasana. This Onkar Upasana of merging the gross body into the subtle body and gross and subtle body into the causal body, the Ishwar Tattva, the causal principle of Ishwara. So that is given in this 50th and the 51st shloka. Now, Vishwam tu Akaram Purusham Vilapaye Ukara Madhe Bahuda Vyavastitam Tataha Makare Pravilapya Taijasam Dvitiya Varnam Pranavasya Chantike. So Vishwam tu Akaram Purusham Vilapayet Ukara Madhe Bahuda Vyavastitam. So now this merging of this Vishwam akara, the sound akara in the omkara, it symbolizes the Jagrat Avastha and Jagrat Purusha Abhimani Vishwa. So at the Vyashti level and Virat at the Samashti level, at the totality level. So these express in many ways in Jagrat Avastha. And at the Samashti level as Virat Purusha. So now they should be merged in the Ukara, the second sound in the Om. So the waking plane and the Jagrat Avastha Abhimani, they are merged into the Ukara. And the Ukara is the Swapna Avastha Abhimani. At the individual level is the Taijasa, and at the total level, totality level or Samashti level is the Hiranyagarbha. So it is merged into this. Then Tataha Makare Pravilapya Taijasam Vitiya Varnam Pranavasya Cha Antike. So this second sound, Ukara, is merged into the third one, Makare. Tataha Makare Pravilapya Taijasam. So Ukara, the second sound, is merged into this, the third sound, the Makara, the last sound in the Omkara. Now, this is the art of God symbolism. That is a symbol representing the entire existence, the infinite reality in one insignificant symbol, Omkara. Om is also the primordial sound which was heard by Brahmaji. So, as in Sagun Sakar Upasana, in a small form of Sagun Sakar of our Ishtadevata, we visualize the substratum of the entire existence in that. What is important when we worship a form is not the ideal, but the ideal behind the ideal. That is what is important. That bhava has to be always there. So, this is the art of God symbolism. So, therefore, in Sanatana Dharma, though in the ultimate truth, Nirgun Nirakar, formless and attributeless, one non-dual entity is the absolute truth, as per the highest spiritual text, that is the Shruti Mata. But our Sanatana Dharma allows the slow evolution of the practitioner from the Sagun Sakar to Sagun Nirakar and to Nirgun Nirakar. Because it understands it is not easy even to conceive a formless and attributeless absolute truth. It is not easy. As long as we are thoroughly identified with our own gross form, the gross body. So therefore, our Sanatana Dharma understands the level, because all of us are having physical, mental and intellectual abilities. They are different, not the same. And according to that, the path also has to be suitable to each and every follower in Sanatana Dharma. It cannot be only for one type of person or one type of sadhaka, seekers. No, it cannot be like that. So it has to be suitable for all types of people, whether the person is intelligent or a duffer, even he can do the upasana, whoever it may be. So for all types of seekers, those who are highly emotional, sentimental, so it should be suitable to them also. Those who are highly rajasic, they are more into activities. So for them also it should be suitable. So therefore, because our Sanatana Dharma, the rishis of yore realize that we are all different at the physical, mental, intellectual level, and therefore on the spiritual path as well. Our evolution level on the spiritual path also is different. They don't match. Two people, they cannot match. They're all different. Physically, of course, all of us have the same arms and legs and eyes, two eyes and ears and all those things. That is fine. But there will be subtle differences in the physiology. And therefore, all of us do not suffer from the same disease. So depending upon the physiology, genetic factor and lifestyle and so many factors are there where people suffer from different types of disease. Not necessary that everybody suffers from the same disease. No, it's not necessary. Similarly, appearances are also different. All of us have a different look. So we can recognize each other even in a crowd of 1,000. Once we have seen each other, we can recognize. So that uniqueness of face is also there. The features are there. Similarly, of course, mentally also, some people are highly sentimental. Some people are very balanced in their emotions and feelings. Some people are not very emotional. They don't show so much of emotions or feelings or sentiments. And some people, we say they are outright hard-hearted, no feelings at all, no emotions, no sentiments at all. So they are different qualities of the mind. They are not all the same. Similarly, at the intellectual level also, some people are geniuses, some people are brilliant, some people are above average intelligent, below average intelligent, and some people are outright duffers. Now, all these people are there at different levels. Physical capacities are different, mental capacities are different, intellectual capacities are different. How can we prescribe the same sadhana to all of them? It's not possible. And moreover, they are at different levels of evolution on the spiritual path also. So one sadhana cannot fit all. We cannot cut one suit and ask everybody to fit in. We cannot make one size shoe and ask everybody to fit into that. No. So in Sanatana Dharma, the greatest thing is that the spiritual practices, the sadhana, is tailor-made to the individual needs. That is the beauty of Sanatana Dharma. For each and every person, whatever the quality may be, they have got some sadhana for them. It is not that, oh, this I cannot do, so I have no sadhana, I have no practice, I have to look in some other religion. No. In Sanatana Dharma, for everyone, it is there. The path is there. Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Kundalini Yoga, Hatha Yoga, so many yoga are there in that. Dhyana Yoga. So this is the beauty of Sanatana Dharma. Then we continuing further in the 51st shloka. Prabhu Ramchandraji says, Makaramapyatmani chidghani pare vilapayet prajnamapiha karanam soham param brahma sada vimuktimad vijnana drungmak mukta upadhito malaha makaram api atmani chidghane pare vilapayet prajnyam api iha karanam sa aham param brahma sada vimuktimat vijnanadrum mukta vijnanadruk mukta upaditah amalah. So now akar, which refers to the gross physical world, jagat, and ukara is at the level of the thoughts. So the swapna jagat is only at the level of thought, dream world. Whatever we see, it is only thoughts. In the dream world, we may see buildings, animals, plants, trees, mountains, and everything, but they are only thoughts alone, vritti alone. They are not actually there. So the gross physical world is merged into the subtler world of thoughts, the dream world. So withdrawal of akara into the ukara is merging the layer of gross into the thoughts in the thought experience. So the dream experience is basically only thought experience. From the gross experience of the world outside into the thought experience. Then the tejas of ukara is then merged into the makara of the sushupti avastha, the deep sleep state. So once it is merged into the deep sleep state, there even the vrittis are not there, only the notion of our existence is there. I am, that is there. I am remains. So this makara with this I am, that is further merged into. So makaram api atmani chidghane pare vilapayet prajnam api iha karanam. So this prajna, which is the sushupti avastha abhimani, that is the karan sharira. So now even that has to be merged into the chidghana, that is the pure consciousness. So makaram api atmani chidghane pare vilapayet prajnam api iha karanam. So that supreme reality, which is the cause and the substratum of everything, it should be merged into that pure consciousness. And that reality, when it is merged, then saha aham param brahma. That Brahma I am. Saha aham param brahma. And then sada vimukti, always ever free. There was no time when I was not free, and there will be no time when I will not be free. It will always be free. It is only because of my own ignorance I consider myself to be bound by the limitations of space, time, and object and causation. So, sada vimukti mat. Vijnana drung. Vijnana drung is the eye of wisdom. So this pure consciousness is upadhi rahita. Mukta upadita. So what are the upadhis? The upadhis are all these pancha koshas, they are the upadhis. Upadhis are the conditioning that is superimposed on the pure self. The conditioning of the pancha koshas. The gross physical body, the sense organs, the pranas, the mind, the intellect, they are the conditioning, they are the upadhis. So that pure self is devoid of all these upadhis. And along with these upadhis, all the relationships that were there, that were there because of these upadhi only. If the gross physical body is not there, there are no relationships also. Relationships is only at the level of the gross physical body. When that is not, what relationship is there? So that includes, so all these relationships are also gone. Upadhi rahita. I remain. Muktah, vimuktimat, muktah, upadhi rahita. And amalaha, there is no mala, no taint whatsoever, no contamination, no taint, no blemish. Amalaha. So what is the mala? Mala is ajnana, mala is vasana. Mala is the notion of duality, ignorance. So these are the mala. Maya, you see. So Maya is also another name of ignorance only. So these blemish or these taint, they are not there. And of course, the mala of three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. So gunatita, beyond the gunas, beyond the maya, mayatita. So all these malas, they are not there. So Vijnana Druk is the eye of wisdom, or we can say the light of consciousness also. So this Vijnana Druk Mukta Upaditaha Amala. So this eye of wisdom or the light of consciousness, it illumines all our experiences and everything. So in that light, now only the realization of non-dual self alone is there. Now, having said that, evam sada jata paratma bhavanah swananda tushta parivrusmatakilah आस्ते स नित्य आत्म सुख प्रकाशकः साक्षात् विमुक्तः अचल वारि सिंधुवत्. So now, एवं सदा जात परात्म भावनः स्वानंद तुष्ट परिविस्मृत अखिलः. Then आस्ते स नित्य आत्म सुख प्रकाशकः साक्षात् विमुक्तः अचल वारि सिंधुवत्. Now, evam sada. In this way, sada, that is always, the sadhaka, the seeker, who realizes this essential nature. Evam sada jata paratma bhavanah, who realizes his own self, his true self, he always remains well established in his own self. Jata paratma bhavanah swananda tushta. Swananda tushta. He is in that infinite bliss and extremely content. Tushta. Swananda and tushta. infinite bliss, extremely content. Because in that infinite bliss, now, of course, there are no desires, nothing is there, everything is gone. So extremely content also. Then Parivismriti. Parivismriti means what? Parivismriti Akhilaha. He totally forgets. Parivismriti, Vismarana. He totally forgets all the other experiences which he had as a jiva in ignorance. Everything is forgotten. No more it is there. It is like a distant dream. Easy. Whatever it was there. In our day-to-day experience also in this worldly life, when some good news comes or some happy event happens in our life, at least we may be having problem, but temporarily forget about that. We are so happy with this particular event that has happened, or some good news has come and all that. Temporarily forget about it, though that is very much there. But here we permanently forget it. So parimusmitya, nothing is visible then, nothing is seen, because now only that Dvaita Bhavana is not there. When that realization happens, perception goes beyond the apparent to the substratum. This is what the important factor is. In Dhyana Prakasha, then nothing else is seen. The pure self alone is there. So in the light of that consciousness, Jnana Prakasha, once we have realized that, it goes beyond the apparent to the substratum. Now we see this world. If the world is there, there has to be a substratum on which this is projected. Now when we see it, we see this world, we are looking at the substratum, not at the world per se. And therefore, so to say, Vismritihi, it is not there. Because this world is also an appearance only on the substratum of pure consciousness. In Vedanta, we call it as Vivartavada. Vivartavada, because if there is an effect, there has to be a cause. If the creation of names and forms is the effect, there has to be a cause for that. And that cause cannot be part of this world, because anything part of this world will be of the same quality of the world. So that cannot be the cause of the world. So the cause of the world has to be other than the world itself, the creation itself. So anything, any object, in Sanskrit we call it as idam. Idam is indicated as that, and all the other objects. So idam is this world of objects, names and forms. When so now, if there has to be a cause for this idam, this world of objects, that is, then the only thing left is the subject, I the subject. So I the subject has to be the cause of this object, the world. Because any part of the world cannot be the cause of the world. I the subject has to be the cause of the world, I the pure consciousness. Then the question comes, can the inert, insentient, non-living world of names and forms can emerge out of consciousness? So this is what comes. This is a doubt that comes to the mind. And then it is said that it is not the creation on this. The pure self is not the cause of the world as the seed is the cause of a plant or a tree, or as the milk is the cause of curd. No, it is not that way. So I, the pure self, the pure consciousness, is the cause of the world, as the rope is the cause of the illusion of a snake or misapprehension of snake. So this is called as vivarta. Vivarta means there is an appearance. So, and therefore a realized person, now he doesn't see the snake, he sees the rope. When he looks out into the world, he sees the substratum, he perceives the substratum, which is none other than himself alone. And therefore, so to say, doesn't see the names and forms or anything like that. It doesn't bother him at all. So, Vismruti, everything is there. And therefore, he remains Aste sa nitya atma sukha prakashaka. So he remains effulgent, fully established in this eternal bliss. Aste sa nitya, nitya, eternal atma sukha, the bliss of the self. He remains there, self-effulgent. Sakshat vimuktaha. So this is Sakshat vimuktaha. That is totally, completely free from everything, all the limitations. And then Achalavari Sindhu. He remains still because now there is no activity, no more desires, no activities, nothing, nowhere to go, nothing to do. So he remains calm and peaceful, Achalvari Sindhuvat, as though suddenly by some magic wand, the ocean has been made to calm down. There are no waves at all, no ripples at all. The entire vast, infinite, seemingly infinite ocean is suddenly calmed down. Achalvari Sindhuvat. So, perception now is at the level of the Jnana Chakshu, not at the level of the Charma Chakshu. With the Charma Chakshu, of course, we see different names and forms and all that. Now, how to go about this Omkar Upasana? Prabhu Ramchandra has told us briefly about this Omkar Upasana. How to go about this? We are all very much familiar with Sagun Sakar Upasana that we have been doing for so long. Sagun Sakar Upasana with Dravya. So we enter the puja room, we have all the puja samagris there, we light the lamp and use all the puja samagris to do the Shodashopchar puja or whatever methods we are doing it. So we do that. Now we have to progress towards the same Shodashopchar puja, but not with the use of Dravya. We just light the lamp and the entire process is done in the mind. Manas puja. So this is the next step, advanced step. From the Dravya puja, Sagun Sakar, Dravya puja, now we do Manas puja. So for doing Manas puja, our mind should be extremely single pointed. So one can take the help of pranayam practice and Jyoti Trataka. These two practices can help us to make our mind single pointed. So we progress from the Sagun Sakar Upasana with the Puja Samagri, with the Dravya, and now we go to Manas Puja. We simply light the lamp and sit, close our eyes and do the entire Shodashopchar Puja in the mind, the single pointedness of the mind. Now, when we are doing Jyoti Trataka and Pranayam, the mind has become single pointed, and we are doing now the Manas Puja. Everything is done exactly as we were doing in the Dravya Puja. Our Ishta Devata is invited, Avan is given, and Ishta Devata comes. And then we do all the Shodashopchar Puja for that. Everything is in the mind. While we are doing this, now we go deeper, beyond the form. We are focusing now on the attributes of that Ishta Devata whom we are worshipping. So we are going beyond the form, focusing on the attributes. Then, leaving aside the form, then we choose a symbol. And the symbol that is given here is the Omkar symbol. Now, we progress towards doing the Upasana, which is called as Sagun Nirakar Upasana or Omkar Upasana. So now, earlier, the form was a symbol of the substratum of the entire existence. The idol was worshipped for the ideal which it represents. Now, going beyond the form, we take the symbol now, the Omkar symbol. And beyond the form, the attributes of that Omkar. Omkar has got three sounds. Akara, Ukara and Makara. When we write in English, therefore we have to write A-U-M instead of writing O-M, Om. And in the pronunciation of Om also, Akara is the shortest. Longer than Akara is the Ukara and the longest is Makar. So when you start with Om, so the Makara is Dirgha. So Akara, Ukara and Makara. Now when we begin this Omkar Upasana, first we have to chant Omkara in Vaikhari Vani. Vaikhari Vani, which we can hear very well, distinctly. In Vaikhari Vani, we chant Omkara 7 times, 10 times, 11 times, whatever. And then when we are chanting this, it is not that once that Omkara is over, and then immediately we start the second Omkara. No. When the Omkara is over, observe the Sandhi Kala also, whatever is possible. 7 times or 8 times, whatever times we have chanted, then we chant in the Madhyama Vani. Madhyama Vani means it is at the level of the lips. The lips are moving, but the sound can't be heard by others. Vaikhari Vani, others can also hear the sound. But in Madhyama Vani, our lips are moving, we are chanting, our lips are moving, but others can't hear the sound. Then we go to the third stage where the chanting is in the mind. Omkar chanting is the mind. Now, then what happens is that slowly now, with one Omkar chanting, when we are going from Akara, Ukara, Makara, and Makara is Dirgha. So then Akara, Jagrat Purush, Vishwa, the world of names and forms, merging into Ukara, Tejasa, Swapnavastha Abhimani, Tejasa, and then merging both that Ukara also into Makara, the Shushupti Avastha, the Pradnya, and then even so from the gross physical world, then to the level of thoughts in the Ukara, and then beyond the level of thoughts also in the Makara, and then when the Omkar chanting is over, Makar is over, then we focus on the Sandhi Kala. That is Amatra. That Sandhi Kala or Amatra, that represents the pure self, Brahman, the absolute truth. Then we begin the second chant, Omkara again. So we remain in the Sandhi Kala as long as possible, as long as no other vrittis erupt in the mind. We remain in the Sandhi Kala. As soon as any vritti erupts in the mind, then Omkara is chanted. We start with Akara, Ukara, Makara, merging of this waker into the dreamer, into the deep sleeper, the three worlds, from the gross to the thoughts, and beyond the thoughts, and into the absolute Amatra, and this goes on. So this has to continuously go on as long as possible. We can begin this Upasana for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and then slowly advance in that. The goal has to be to focus on the Sandhi Kala. Sandhi Kala is the important part of this Omkar Upasana. Maximum time we have to be in Sandhi Kala. When we start with the chanting of Omkara, Akara, Ukara and Makara, after Makara, most of the time, more time we have to spend in the Sandhi Kala. And then we begin again. So we begin the practice for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, initial stage, and slowly we can increase the time. As the time of Makara increases, then the number of times we chant Omkara, that will also reduce as the Makara, the Amatra, the time of Amatra increases, the Sandhi Kala. So this is how we have to progress on this. So I hope this is very clear. There is no doubt about that, about how these upasanas are there. From Sagun Sakar with the Dravya, Sagun Sakar without the Dravya, Manas Puja. Then in that Manas Puja, now we slowly shift our focus from the form of our Ishta Devata to the attributes of the Ishta Devata. Then we graduate, then we progress towards the Onkar Upasana. And then focus on the three sounds of Akara, Ukara and Makara, which is the Sagun or the qualities of that Onkara. And then the importance has to be given to the Amatra, the Sandhikala between the two Onkaras. So this is how we do this Onkar Upasana in brief. I hope now it is clear and there is no doubt. If any doubt is there, then we can discuss that also. Now, having said this, then we move on to the next shloka, shlok 53. Evam sadabhyasta samadhi yoginah nivritta sarvendriya gocharasya hi vinirjita shariporaham sada drushyo bhaveyam jitashang gunatmakam manah. Evam sada abhyasta samadhi yoginah nivritta sarvendriya gocharasya hi vinirjita asheshah ripoho aham sada drishyah bhaveyam jitashat gunatmanah. So now here Prabhu Ramchandra ji gives us the 4 steps as a spiritual seeker that we have to have. What are those? The first one is that Sada Abhyasta Samadhi Yogina. This is the first one. Sada Abhyasta Samadhi Yogina means we have to calm our mind. At any given moment in time, our mind is very stormy. So many things are going on simultaneously. 1001 things are going on which disturbs us, agitates us, and so on. So the first thing is that we have to calm our mind. Calming the mind is very important. Now to calm the mind, we have to also know the root cause. Why the mind gets disturbed and agitated. Those root causes also have to be known. See, if somebody is not feeling well, the cause of the illness has to be known. That is the most important factor. Therefore, in the treatment process, diagnosis is very important, the correct diagnosis. What is the root cause of this person's ill health? Correct diagnosis is very important. And when the root cause is detected, after elimination of that root cause, the illness goes. So now our mind is agitated. That is not a surprise. Everybody's mind gets agitated, disturbed. So many things are going on. Anxiety, nervous tension, sometimes panic attacks, stress, so many factors are there. So the first thing is that, and without a calm mind, can we do our sadhana? We cannot do. A mind that is not available to us to focus on something continuously for some time, that mind is no good for spiritual practice. Even in worldly practice also, even if a student has to study for his exam, his mind has to be concentrated, single-pointed. If his mind is disturbed, he cannot focus on his study also. Forget about spiritual practice or contemplation on the higher reality. So the first thing is that we have to calm the mind. And what is that disturbs the mind? The root is, when we analyze, it is the desires that disturb the mind. There are lots of desires. And when the desires erupt, then of course we have to fulfill the desires. Unless we fulfill the desire, we will be miserable. You see? So we are put into activity. Then we spend time, effort, and money to fulfill the desire. After fulfilling the desire, has the mind calmed down? Maybe temporarily, for a few seconds, few minutes, an hour or two, maybe a day or two, as long as another desire doesn't erupt. There are millions of desires in our mind, and from time to time, it keeps on erupting. So now we have to get to the root of the desire. From where does the desire arise? You see, desire causes the problem, now we know, because as soon as the desire arises, until we fulfill it, we become miserable, we are restless, we are put into activities, and fulfilling the desire is not so easy also. Whatever activities we put ourselves into to fulfill the desire, it is not necessary that we'll always be successful. Sometimes there will be obstacles. Sometimes we can overcome the obstacles. Sometimes the obstacles are stubborn, we cannot overcome it. And therefore, our desires remain unfulfilled and we get more frustrated, and so on, it goes on. So now we have to go even deeper from where this desire comes. So that also has to be eliminated. So the desires will not come, so we'll remain calm. So desires come from the vasanas, or the tendencies that we have brought from the past fields of action. So past fields of experiences, action and experiences. So they form the vasanas, or the tendencies or impressions. And from there the desires come. Past so many lives together, whatever experiences we may have had. So good experiences, we want to repeat it again and again. So they become vasana. And then they are carried forward also from one life to another life. So desire comes from this vasana, the desires come, and desires will not allow us to remain quiet. It will put us into activity. Our actions may be success, also fail. It may fail also. Then we get more frustrated. Then we struggle more. And that is how it comes. Then our mind will become disturbed, agitated, and so on. So vasanas are the root cause from where it has all come. So can we get rid of the vasanas? How can we get rid of the vasanas? How many vasanas we can get rid of? Which type of vasanas we can get rid of? So there are techniques by which we can get rid of vasanas to a great extent. We cannot get rid of all the vasanas. Some vasanas are so strong that unless we experience and exhaust it, it will not go. So, but to a great extent, by certain practices, we can get rid of those vasanas. And we have discussed this earlier also. Getting rid of the vasanas, simple techniques are given in various paths. In Bhakti Yoga, it is Japa Sadhana. In Karma Yoga, it is the Nishkama Karma. That is selfless action. That can reduce the vasanas to a great extent. In Bhakti Yoga, Japa Sadhana can reduce the vasanas to a great extent. Then in the Hatha Yoga, Manduki Mudra can reduce the vasanas to a great extent. Then in the Kriya Yoga, Chidakash Dharana, to a great extent, the vasanas can reduce through the practice of Chidakash Dharana. And in the Jnana Yoga, to the practice of Pratipaksha Bhavana, we can reduce the vasanas. So this way, to some extent, we can reduce the vasanas, and the mind will be calm. To that extent, the mind will be calm and at peace. So that mind can be used for sadhana. Such a calm mind for Manas Puja also, for Omkar Upasana also, it will be useful. And for higher contemplation also, it will be useful. So Sada Abhyasta Samadhi Yoginaha, we have to calm the mind. And then Nivrutta Sarva Indriya Gocharasya. Nivrutta Sarva Indriya Gocharasya, the withdrawal of the senses. Senses means basically the mind from the external world. So the withdrawal from the external world is very important. The mind leaks off to the 5 sense organs into the external world, into their respective fields. It keeps going there. So now this withdrawal of the mind, how the mind can be withdrawn from the external world, stop it from leaking out from the 5 sense organs into the world. It can be stopped only through viveka, through discrimination, through understanding that in the external world, why does the mind go out in the external world? To seek some kind of, to eke out some kind of joy, pleasure, or happiness from this external world. So it will keep going there until it realizes that there is not an iota of joy, pleasure, or happiness in the external world. They are all impermanent, fleeting, momentary. That's it. And in fact, that is also illusory. Whatever, when we indulge in the external object, whatever joy, pleasure, or happiness that we get, it comes from within us. It is from our own source, which is projected on those objects. Objects themselves do not have any joy, pleasure, or happiness. If it was so, then the same object should give the same quantum of happiness or joy or pleasure to everyone at all times, in all circumstances, situation, everywhere. But that is not the case. Some people enjoy something, the other person may hate that thing, or that may cause some sorrow or misery to that person. So the object is the same. Somebody is enjoying it, somebody is suffering, somebody is becoming miserable because of that. So there is no joy, pleasure, or happiness in the external world. So that viveka, that discrimination has to come. If we have to withdraw the mind from the external world, you see. So this constant intellectual thinking and analysis, is there really some joy, pleasure, or happiness? Let me think. If I think that this gives me some kind of pleasure, let me analyze. Really, does it give me pleasure? Or it is only my projection, my mental projection, that this gives me pleasure? So when we analyze thoroughly like this, a smoker derives some kind of pleasure from that cigarette. Otherwise, why will he waste his money? When even the warning is written, earlier they used to write, now they print the picture also of lung cancer and mouth cancer and throat cancer and all that thing. And yet he keeps indulging in that. So he's spending this money, and he knows very well that he may fall sick also, he may get cancer. But his mind has projected pleasure in that cigarette. And there are people who cannot stand the smell of cigarette smoke. So object is the same. Somebody is deriving pleasure out of that, and somebody is becoming miserable about the smoke because of the smoke. So that means if there was inherent pleasure, joy, or happiness, that should give same quantum of joy, pleasure, or happiness to everyone. It doesn't give. So therefore, if you analyze each and every object in this world, it is that like that only. So there is no inherent joy, pleasure, or happiness in any of these objects of this world, things or beings of this world. It is only a mental projection. That's all. And therefore, through thorough analysis, when we come to this conclusion, we will not go out to seek this joy, pleasure, or happiness in the external world. That is how we withdraw the mind from the external world. Now, here it is said that Indriya Gocharasya. So withdrawing the senses from the external world, basically senses depend on the mind. It is the mind only. So you don't have to withdraw each and every senses separately. I have to withdraw the eyes, withdraw the ears, withdraw the nose. No. It is only the mind. If the right thinking is there, viveka is there, that there is no happiness there, then the mind will not go out through these 5 sense organs. So, Nivrutta Sarva Indriya Gocharasya. Then these are the 2 steps, important steps. First is we have to calm the mind through the elimination of vasanas. Second step is through viveka, discrimination. We have to understand that there is no joy, pleasure, or happiness in the external world, and withdraw the mind from that. Then Vijiti Indriya, Vinirjita Ashesha Ripoho. So we have to conquer completely, Ripoho, the 6 enemies. What are the 6 enemies? 6 enemies, the basic. There are many enemies we have, but the 6 are the most common, most important, very strong. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. The desire, anger, greed, delusion, arrogance, and jealousy. They are the 6 things, 6 enemies. So these are the 6 modifications of the mind. There are many of the others also, but these are the main thing. The desires are there, and if desires, there is some obstacle in fulfilling the desire, then the anger comes. And when the anger comes, of course, then everything is destroyed, like in Bhagavad Gita, in the 2nd chapter. Bhagavan Shri Krishna says how we go down. Dhyayato Vishayan Punsah Sangasteshu Pajayate Sangas Sanjayate Kamah Kamat Krodho Vijayate Krodhat Bhavati Sammoho Sammoha Smuti Vibramah Supimintat Smriti Bhranshat Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati. So that Krodha can take us to Nasha. Because when anger happens, then we lose control over our intellect. What we are doing, we do not know. What we are saying, what we are doing, have no control over that. And that is how we destroy ourselves. So, Kama, Krodha, and that Kama is fulfilled and we are very happy about it, then there is Lobha, then greed, I should get it more. So that greed is there. And there is no limit to greed. Like Mahatma Gandhi once said that there is enough for everybody's need in this world, but there is not enough for even one person's greed, because there is no limit to that. And our politicians today, they prove it also. Then, so this Vinirjita Ashesharipaha Kama Krodha Lobha, then the delusion, Moha. Because of delusion only, we get trapped into this birth and death cycle. Delusion happens because of incomplete knowledge. We get deluded and then we get trapped. That causes problem. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha. Then Mada. Mada is arrogance. I am something. I have done this. I have done that. I can do this, that. So this arrogance, that is also very dangerous. And then, because as a seeker, arrogance means our ego is very strong. And the entire spiritual practice is to weaken and destroy the ego. And here we are fattening the ego by being arrogant. So that has to be taken care of. And then the sixth one, which is actually the most unjustified, so to say. Sometimes some people may justify their anger and all that thing, but this jealousy is not at all justified in any circumstances. Someone is doing good, why somebody should feel jealous? They should feel happy, at least someone is doing good. No. Then I am jealous. Why is doing good? If I cannot get success, he should not be successful. I should put some obstacle in his success. So this jealousy is the most unjustified one. And because of the jealousy, we many a time destroy ourselves. There is no need. Instead, we should be happy in other success also. But no, I can't stand his success. So I am jealous about it. So I have to do something, create some obstacle in the success. So this jealousy also we have to get rid of. So this Vinirjita Ashesha Ripaha, then Bhaveyam Jita Shad Gunatmanaha. So the Shad Urmi, Shad Gunatmana. So the 6 urges of the body that we have to conquer, that is called a Shad Urmi, 6 urges. What are the 6 urges? At the gross body level, it is the Shud Pipasa, or hunger and thirst. So that we have to conquer. Then at the gross body, it is old age and death. Vruddhavastha, Jara and Mrityu. These are the 2 at the gross body level. So there is a fear of old age and death. Nobody wants to become old. Nobody wants to die. The fear of old age and death has to be conquered. So these are the 2 urmis at the level of the gross body. How do you conquer that? By constantly contemplating that I am not the gross body, gross physical body. Then only we can conquer the fear of this old age and death at the gross body level. At the level of the pranamaya kosha, that is Shuddh Pipasa, hunger and thirst. So this hunger and thirst can be taken at gross level also and at the mental level also. That one is never satisfied. That hunger and thirst is always there. So this we have to also conquer. This urmi also has to be conquered. Pranamaya kosha, that is conquering the pranamaya kosha. So there are different practice for that also. Pranayam, Surya Upasana, Khichri Mudra, and so on. So this pranamaya kosha. Then at the manomaya kosha level, the 2 urmis are Shoka Moha. Moha and Shoka. Moha is the delusion and shoka is the grief. So these two are at the level of the mind. So this delusion and grief also has to be conquered. These are the six urges at the level of the body, at the level of the pranamaya kosha, and at the level of the mind. So they need to be conquered. So how do we conquer this shoka and moha? So by constantly contemplating on the fact that what is the shoka, what is the sorrow I have regarding what? Does anything belong to me in this world? Even this body also doesn't belong to me. So if that is there or not there, if somebody has given and somebody has taken away, why should there be a shoka about it? There should be no grief or sorrow or pain regarding that. Moha, delusion can go only through knowledge. Because we are deluded and therefore we keep getting trapped into these bondages for lives together. So therefore we have to overcome this also. Shoka and moha. So then aham sada drushya. One, when we conquer this shoka and moha, then aham sada drushya, then I am, the Lord Rama says, then to such a one who has accomplished these four sadhanas, which he spoke about now, I am available to him at all times, directly for subjective experience. This is what Lord Ramachandra says. So then the next shloka will take up in our next session. Now, if anybody has got any questions, they can ask.
Any question from anybody? Please go ahead. Everybody is silent, Swamiji, today.
They have gone into amatra. Good.
Swamiji, I have two questions. Can you explain in little detail the ideal behind the idol? Idol, we must rise above the idol to the ideal. Now, suppose I am a Krishna Bhakta and I am putting a Krishna idol before me. So what the ideal should be?
Krishna is a Shodashakala Purusha. That is the ideal you should put. Shodashakala Purusha. So the focus should be on all the attributes, the gunas of Lord Krishna, the attributes. You see, so the focus should be on that. Those who are Ram Bhakta, they should focus on the attributes of Ram Bhakta or Hanuman Bhakta or Ganesh Bhakta and so on. So going beyond the idol and focusing on the attributes, the qualities. When we do this, say Vishnu Sahasranama. In Vishnu Sahasranama, the 1,000 names are there. All these 1,000 names are the attributes of Lord Vishnu. And Shri Krishna and Prabhu Ramchandra ji, both are Vishnu Avatar. So they are the attributes. So we can focus on that. Each and every name can be the focus of, when we are doing Upasana, the focus could be on those names and what qualities they represent. You see? So we go beyond the form and now focus on the attributes.
Okay. Then the second question is, when we do Omkar Upasana, Amatra stage comes. And I understand that that stage is known as Atmakar Vritti or Akhandakar Vritti or Brahmakar Vritti. Now, there is a Ghatakar Vritti as far as the objects are there. From that, what I understand is that the pot, the form of the pot must take as a thought in my mind. Then only I'll get the knowledge about the pot. Am I right in understanding this, Swamiji?
Actually, there is no vritti in the Sandhi Kala.
Exactly.
So there is no the Ghatakar Vritti or anything like that. Sandhi Kala is Vritti Rahita. So Vrittis are gone with Amatra, Umatra, and this Akara, Ukara, Makara. So these three matras, the Vrittis have all gone with that. Now we come into the Sandhi Kala, where it is Amatra, where there are no Vrittis. Three matras have gone. So that is Vritti Rahit state. And Vritti Rahit, that Sandhi Kala, is the substratum of both the sound and silence. That absolute truth is beyond the sound and silence. It is the substratum of both sound and silence. So the focus should be there without the eruption of any vrittis, without the eruption of any thoughts.
So what is the Akhandakar Vritti, Swamiji?
That is again, when you are talking about, when you attach vritti to that, it is again vritti only. At the level of the thoughts, we think about akhanda, that which is infinite. Then again, we are thinking in terms of thoughts, infinite. So when it becomes vritti rahita, that is the real thing. That is the infinite. So it has to go beyond vritti. So this amatra, after the three matras, the amatra is there. That is the vritti rahita, the sandhi kala. So focus on that alone. Forget about this other akhandakar vritti and this vritti and that vritti or ghatakar vritti. They are still at the level of the thoughts alone.
So it's only pure awareness, isn't it, Swamiji?
It may be just fraction of a second or two, and slowly it can expand like that. We may sit for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and slowly we can increase the time as our single pointedness increases. So this upasana can increase because the focus should be on that alone. That is most important factor.
But Swamiji, is it true that if it is practiced very sincerely and seriously, after 21 days, one leaves the body?
So are you scared of leaving the body?
No, I'm not scared, but you know, from where does this question come from?
So if under 21 days, no, actually, Ramakrishna Paramahams made this statement that after realization, if there is no mission in this world for the realizer of that truth, that realizer, if there is no mission in this world, what happens is that he may ignore the body and then the body will fall off within 21 days. That is what Ramakrishna Paramahams said regarding the realized master who has no mission in this world. Because then he will not be identified with ego is dissolved, not identified with the body, he will remain in his infinite bliss unless there is a mission. And mission can be in any form. His mere presence is required, if required in this world without doing anything. Then his body will be sustained here. Otherwise, his body will drop off in 21 days. That is, if he has no mission. But that is not the case, you see, most of the time. So this is what Ramakrishna Paramahams said. So you need not worry. And if you realize it, good riddance to bad rubbish then.
No, my better half used to worry, you know.
Because who wants this body which is giving so much trouble? Stinking body.
Anybody, any question? Our old friends, Shobha, then Padmini, then Vimalji. This is the wonderful opportunity that we have.
Hariom Swamiji.
Oh.
After getting knowledge of all this so much in detail and after doing so many books, you feel so many steps we have to achieve to reach there at the highest goal. So it is better bhakti yoga. Jnana yoga is so vast, so much jnana is there. My mind is very small to absorb so much knowledge. So bhakti yoga is better, that you just surrender yourself to God, having nothing in you, say, I'm all empty, empty and empty. That's it. Because this is so confusing. You have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do for Omkar, this sadhana, Manopasna. So many things we have to concentrate and so many things we have to do. That thought only, makes me, I get scared, like, oh, we have to do this, we have to do that,
Nervous.
we have to do it. So I think Bhakti Yoga, knowledge, it's, we say like ignorance is a bliss. It's like that, like, that we don't have only that knowledge. Or God doesn't want everybody to be enlightened. That's why they have made it so complicated. Why Krishna has made so complicated?
It is not so. No need to despair. Your very Lord, whom you worship, of whom you are the devotee, that Lord will show you the way. That Lord will give His grace and blessing so that you will know yourself. Many people started on the path of, all of us start the spiritual life from bhakti only, and then realize the self. Many of us, very rarely somebody who starts, who has been an atheist and then he came to Vedantic path and all that thing, that may be a different issue. But otherwise, most of us start from bhakti only. From childhood, we have seen in our homes, puja being done and all that thing, start with bhakti only. And then we slowly progress, depending upon what our attitudes are, aptitudes are towards what. Then we adopt that. Some people find Jnana Yoga very suitable to their temperament, and some people Dhyana Yoga, and some people follow the Kundalini Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga, and so on. So many things are there. But there are only two paths, Bhakti and Jnana, that's all. And many people, they came on the spiritual path through Bhakti and attained the absolute truth. We have examples in Maharashtra of these people. Namdev Maharaj, Eknath Maharaj, Tukaram Maharaj, they were all bhaktas. They started off the devotion of the Lord, and later on they realized the self, because the Lord Himself helps. In case of Namdev Maharaj, Namdev was the devotee of Lord Vitthal, and he was attached to the form of Lord Vitthal. And Lord Vitthal knew that as long as he is attached in my form, he will never realize the truth. So then he was during the same period when Jnaneshwar Maharaj and his siblings were there. So one day they called the pot maker, the kumbhar, to test everybody's pot whether they are matured or not. So the four siblings, Jnaneshwar, Nivruttinath, Sopandev and Muktabai, their pots were tested and they said this is matured. And the potter checked this Namdev Maharaj's pot and he said this is not mature. This is immature. And he was very disappointed, this Namdev Maharaj, because Namdev Maharaj had the arrogance that he got darshan of Lord Vitthal when he was just 8 or 9 years old, when his father told him to do puja and offer the Nevedya and not to eat before offering the Nevedya. So he took it literally, and father was busy and he had to go somewhere. And he waited for Lord Vitthal to come and take the Nevedya as a child, innocent child. And then finally he said that, Lord, I am very hungry and unless you eat, I cannot eat. That is the order of my father. Please come and help you eat that so that I can eat. And that is when Lord Vitthal appeared. Because of this darshana at a very young age, Namdev thought that he has attained everything because of Lord's darshana. And he had that arrogance. And when his pot maker said that his pot is immature, he was very disappointed. And then he went to Lord Vitthal and told him, this is what the pot maker says. And Lord Vitthal told him, yes, what he said is right. You are immature. You have to attain knowledge. Then Lord Vitthal guided him, your guru is waiting for you in this forest. There is a temple, go there. And then when he goes to the temple and he finds an old man, it is a Shiva temple with Shivlingam there. When he finds an old man lying there with his feet on the Shivlingam. So Namdev thought that what nonsense is this? How can he keep his feet on that Shivlingam? So he told that old man, are you a fool or something? Don't you understand what you're doing? He said, I'm too old and I'm weak. Please move the feet away from the Shivlingam. I cannot remove from that. So wherever Namdev used to keep the feet, that old man, there the Shivling used to appear, and again the old man's feet is on the Shivling. Then Namdev understood that he is no ordinary person. Who are you? Then the old man said that I am Visoba Khechar, your guru. I have been waiting for you for so many years. And then he gains knowledge from Visthoba Khechar. After he gets the knowledge of the non-dual reality, he comes home, and one evening when he's at home, somebody knocks on the door. So from inside, Namdev Maharaj asks, who is there outside? So Lord Vithala says, I am Vithala. So Namdev Maharaj says from within, I don't want to see a Vithala who is only outside and not inside, and outside all the same, all the time. So that means he realized the truth. And who helped him? The same Lord who was his Ishta Devata. That Lord alone helped him in getting the knowledge. So when you continue in your Bhakti Marga, the Lord whom you worship, that Lord alone will help you in getting that absolute truth, the knowledge. Don't worry. There is no need to despair.
Thank you, Swamiji. Hari Om, Swamiji.
Swamiji,
Yes.
if we adhere to the process and understand, then I think that Maggi is easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then the bhakti. I am not undermining the efficacy of the bhakti, but in Gnana, I think it's a very, I don't want to use that word, but it's a very, very short path.
It is short path, no doubt, but it is also difficult also. It is not that easy. See, it is difficult. Bhakti Marga may be a long shot, but comparatively easier. There are only two paths anyway, Bhakti and Jnana. And both of them will end ultimately in Jnana and Bhakti. Bhakti will end in Jnana, Jnana will end in Bhakti. Both of them are like that. So you need not worry. Depending upon whose temperament is how, they can adapt to that. That is the beauty of Sanatana Dharma. Nothing is compulsory. Nothing is forced upon anyone. You can choose your own path depending upon your own temperament and aptitude. So good about Sanatana Dharma, you see. That is the best thing I like about Sanatana Dharma. And everyone has got a path tailor-made for them. Nobody feels despair. Oh, this is not for me. That is not for me. Yeah, everybody has got the path. Unlike in other religions, you have to strictly follow that. And if you don't fit into that, that's it. So this is not it is. You cut a one-size shoe or one-size sport and then ask everybody to fit into that. No. In Sanatana Dharma, the practices are tailor-made to the needs of the individual seeker, sadhaka. That's the best thing.
Thank you, Swamiji.
So, shall we conclude?
Yes, Swamiji.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Hari Om.